I took my daughter on a trip into a valley near Death Valley when I had first taken her there when she was 5 months, and I took her there for her 25th birthday in the same van. That was really kind of fun.
Hello, this is Patrick with New Jersey's Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel back here at Turkey Swamp Park. I met up with Steve. Steve has a really cool Volkswagen Westfalia camper van that he's going to give us a tour of today. So join us. Hello, Steve, and welcome to New Jersey Outdoor Adventures.
Thank you, Patrick. Hello and welcome. And this is my 1990 T3 Syncro Westfalia, also known as a Vanagon. The Syncro designation means it's four-wheel drive. They're very capable vehicles, both in terms of off-road and as campers. The Vanagon was made by Volkswagen, and then they shipped it to Austria, where Steyr Puch put in the four-wheel drive system, and then they shipped it to Westfalia Work, which did the camper. So it's made by 3 different companies, and all of them are known for their quality work, certainly in this period. I can show you around the camper a little bit. I've done some modifications, such as this cork flooring. The standard Westfalia camper features include a refrigerator, which is propane. It also runs off the battery when you're driving only, or you can do 120. These are notoriously inefficient. They don't do a great job. So I also have a compressor fridge that I bring for longer trips that I have outside there. But this is great to have inside for drinks and things like that. I wouldn't store meat in, I'm not going to store meat in here, but for snacks and things like that, it's wonderful. And I've done a number of modifications to increase the efficiency of this, mainly venting the hot air out from behind the cabinet, which VW didn't, or that design was not that great. It also comes with a 2-burner propane stove, and then a sink with a 13-gallon pump. And one of the modifications I made is I have hot water. I have a heat exchanger, so the engine will heat the water, and I have 13 gallons of, I can control it by thermostat. It has your, storage and your typical silverware drawer. The main reason I got the hot water was because when I got this van, my twins were only 5 months old, and I would have to do their diapers, and they hated that cold water. So Sam and Emily are my twins. But, and then this table that is very nice for, I like to use it as a computer table, but you can use it for eating as well. It's a little cramped for that seat. I have a ham radio there, but that's not part of the original equipment. As you can see, the swivel seats make it really nice. Very comfortable. That's what I really like about this van, is how comfortable it is to just relax in, which is why I have it. But among the other features on the Westfalia camper, this is kind of like a shoe. I use it as a wine cellar down here, shoes here, and then bags and other stuff above the shoes. Over here we have, this is the standard heater from the engine, so it doesn't really work when you're camping, but this I have put an S-bar heater in, and that's where that vents. And here's the controller for the S-bar, and that's a wonderful heater, by the way. So the seat lifts up. A lot of people use this for storage, but I have used it to put my components. I have a 175 amp hour lithium battery here, and then the S-bar heater is underneath this battery in a separate compartment. And then I have a Red Arc DC to DC charger and some switches in here, and then everything else is spare parts and tools that I have. This also is this lower seat also pulls into a bed, and that's pretty easy to do. You just pull that out and there you go. And I just unroll. I have a wool mattress topper that I use, and to put it back you just go like that. So it's a great design. I really love this camper. And this here is the main closet. It was intended initially for hanging clothes. There's a little rack in there for coat hangers, but I put 2 shelves in here. It's got a mirror, which is really nice to use in the morning. But I keep blankets and towels and things in the bottom and some clothes in the middle. And then up top I have my camera gear. I also have in there a cellular router, PepWave, which provides internet for the entire vehicle and about 100 feet around it. It's a very high quality router that I'm really happy with, and it allows me to have internet anywhere, basically, that you can get cell service. And you'll notice this is an addition I made because my children were, I wanted to have a shoulder harness. This came from the factory with just lap belts, especially when they were still in their baby seats. They took their first trip when they were only 5 months old. We went to Yellowstone. Wasn't too bad because they do make those for the passenger van already. It took a little modification to make it work with the closet. You may be able to see over here I have the Victron monitor, battery monitor that I have installed. I've also got some gauges over here that allow me to, that I've put in that allow me to monitor voltage. This is for the water tank, and that's for time. You always have to watch time. But for the electrical system, I have the lithium battery, but I also have 200 watts of solar on the roof and another additional 100 watts inside here, so I can hook it to the van and put it out in the sun if I'm camping in the shade or something. In fact, all the panels on the roof can be removed, because a lot of times we would camp in areas where there was no sun where the van would be parked. The van's very capable. I've camped for 30 or more days at a time, several times in this van with the solar and without needing to resupply or anything. I would take my kids way out into the California desert. You can see this switch is on now. That's because that cellular system I mentioned is on. It's not only the router up here though, I also have a antenna on the roof, a Parsec K9 antenna, which is normally for first responders. It really increases the range. It's quite pricey, but it's really done an amazing job to give me solid internet at all times. In addition to that, cellular though, I also have, you can see outside here, I have a system for capturing Wi-Fi up to a couple miles away. And I have an antenna outside here you can see. This is a Ubiquity, and it's actually quite amazing. The record for me was I was above the Golden Gate Bridge aiming that thing across the San Francisco Bay to Oakland, and I was able to pick up Wi-Fi at the horse race track across the bay. That's probably 7 or 8 miles. But Wi-Fi has gone out of style, you know, and cellular is the way to go now. But so that's what that's for. And then this is the hot water that you turn on. This table slides out, which is really nice, and allows you to have dining. I have a little stool that I put on the other side so you can have like a dining room set up. And then in here I have all my cooking stuff in here. So it looks a little crowded because it is, but everything I need is in there. And then in here is mainly food. And I do have the inverter, but I only have a really small several hundred watt one because I really don't need it. I don't really use it for much. Mainly for the charging my laptop. And this up here, these vents, these are for the AC system, so they don't really work when you're standby, although these are vents that you can open and get some breeze even when you're parked if it's windy out. But for ventilation I mainly rely on, you have excellent ventilation in here with these big windows and screens. There is a skylight up there that opens as well. The ventilation is so good in here, in fact, that I don't really feel I need one of those big fans that everyone puts in their roofs. It's worked very well. The side windows open as well and are screened. And this back hatch, I have a screen for that as well, but there are no bugs around right now, so I haven't put it on. I have screens for the front windows that a friend in Texas. And I do have a screen that attaches here as well that seals this whole door. Another modification I made was the lighting. When it came from the factory, all it had was a old-fashioned incandescent light here that really killed the battery. So I put in all new LED marine lights, and there's quite a few of them in here. But I have basically two systems. One is so you can see better. Stumbling on my words here a little bit, but you can see, I mean, they do a pretty good job there. They're all, you can dim them as high or low as you want. And they're really nice quality lights too. The other side of the system though, I built for nighttime really. I mean, well, all lights maybe are for nighttime, but these lights allow me to see whatever I need to do inside the van while still being able to see everything outside. And it's something I really wanted, because where we would camp normally there would be no one anywhere near us. We have no need for curtains. And so we would want to be able to see everything outside, including especially the stars. And then up here is the upper bunk. I'm using it for storage right now, but it just folds out and offers another bed. It's a slightly bigger bed, but it's pretty easy to set up. It's a little messy up there right now. That cushion got messed up a little bit too when I folded it. And so when you're done sleeping, it's very easy to put this away. Sometimes if it's cold out, I'll just leave it up like that if I'm still camping. But that's pretty much it. And in terms of taking the pop top down, it's fairly easy. I have gas struts on it right now to help with the lifting it. So it's a little more difficult, but you just pull it down and latch it. And that's really the beauty about this van. You can come and be completely set up camping in 15 minutes. So we can go outside and I can show you a little more out here. There is a propane tank down here that came standard. Actually, I have two of them on there. I added a second one. And then I put outside plugs for 12 volt, so I can put my cooler on either side of the van and have it outside, and they're completely waterproof and weatherproof. And this is the 12 volt compressor fridge I use now. It's a truck fridge, one of the cheaper ones, but it does fine for me. This awning is made by a guy in Canada, Shady Boy. The reason I like it is they're extremely light. And I really want to keep this van as light as I can, because I take it on some very rough roads, and the lighter it is, the better it'll perform. But it folds up into this little box here. It doesn't roll in, but it does great. And I've modified it a little bit by putting these poles on. And if we were in the desert, these poles would be roped down so it can withstand some wind. And moving to the back here, I normally don't have this up. I put this up because I knew Patrick was coming and I wanted to show. It's a shower curtain is why this is here. And the shower is right up here. It's pretty good. It works great. And that comes out of the 13-gallon stock tank, and that water is usually heated. So that's really nice. But I also have another setup where I can put this into a water jug out here to draw water outside. And I also have a propane heater I can use to heat it. So, whoops. You gotta watch what you're doing. And this is another clothes closet. This is where I keep the bulk of my clothing. If you fold it well, there's weeks worth of clothing in there. It works out great for me. This shelf is my junk shelf pretty much, and I added this light because it says 1990. They didn't have it. This light is it not working? There we go. So that light's kind of just nice to have, but the one nice thing about that light is when I can take this out and it'll shine right down into the engine because the engine is in the rear, which is what really nice, because it really helps with performance off-road, you know, with better traction and weight balance. This has almost 50-50 weight balance. This hitch is for a bike rack. I haven't taken it off, but to carry bikes. And the one thing I'll mention is, like, I know all the people who make the modifications, like this hitch here. A friend of mine out in California made this. Comes right out of the center of the bumper. Another friend of mine made this. I know the guy who made the awning and the screens, and just about everything on here is made by somebody I know. And then moving to the roof, you can see the 2 solar panels up there. If you notice, they have pegs on the sides holding them. You can push these buttons in, but that'll pull out, and that way I can tilt the panels for the sun, or I can remove them and bring them down here and plug them in under the van if I can't have sun, if I can't capture the sun up there. Then I have a ladder on the back, a hatch ladder that has a pack on it right now. And a friend of mine in Canada made that, and it's a wonderful addition to have. Over here we have utility ports. This one's the water. I need the key. This is how you fill the water tank. This is where I plug in to have city power. I also charge my batteries. I can just plug that in, it'll charge everything. This used to be the city water, but I put a fan in there to help vent the refrigerator, the heat buildup in the refrigerator. And this is the flue for the propane refrigerator. It's pretty warm right now because it's burning. You can see I have the other propane tank is there. As I mentioned before, these vehicles actually perform very well off-road. But the suspension that came with them had a lot to desire, left a lot to be desired. And so I actually designed some coil springs for them and spent quite a bit of time developing those, because they only made one spring for all the different configurations of this van, and they had quite a bit of difference in the weight. So I made springs just for this vehicle, and it really really helped expand where I can go with it, and it performs really well off-road now. So the coil springs have worked out great. One of the problems was, though, on some of the favorite areas we would go, we could only go 2 or 3 times and the shocks would be shot. So I had to persuade ARB to import their synchro shocks from Australia. They did, and now, you know, that really changed everything. You can do more than 3 trips into the desert on those. The other equipment this has that demonstrates that it's a serious 4-wheel drive vehicle. I have front and rear locking differentials on this. There aren't many vehicles in the US you can get front and rear. So I can have 1, 2, 3, or 4-wheel drive depending on what the demands are. And it has a 5-speed manual transmission with a granny gear. That's the weak spot on these, is the transmission. They were designed for an engine that doesn't have even 100 horsepower. A lot of people will put bigger engines in them and it'll just chew the transaxle up. So I've opted to stay with the stock engine, and I'm plenty happy with it. Bear in mind, these are fairly old. I mean, this one is 30 years old. I've had it for 27 years. It's got the original paint. Mostly I was rear-ended and that's been repainted, but it's in really good shape because it was well built. And it's not uncommon for people to get 400,000 miles out of one of these. And here we can see from the outside one of the screens. They're just magnets, and really nice design though. Up front, the other thing that really sucked was the headlights. So I got H4 headlights from Germany. They're way, way better than the stock ones were, but very expensive, so I have these guards on there for those. These fog lights were made by a company called Projectzo. In Germany, they're no longer available. I took my kids on a trip from Yosemite to Yellowstone, doing dirt road almost the entire way. and we broke both fog lights on that trip, but I cannot find replacement lamps anywhere. Spare tire is up front underneath there because there's no engine in the front, and that's pretty much it for the outside.
Your kids are grown now.
Yeah.
So how did this change their lives? Going and growing up, taking this out on awesome trips to places that you just can't drive by in a car.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's really crazy. This van changed my life in so many ways. Yeah, because it would allow us to spend weeks at a time in wilderness. And I, with the ham radio and everything, I was able, you know, to convince their mother that we would be safe and we could reach help if we needed it. So with her consent, we would go, usually our camping trips would involve 40 or 50 miles of dirt road into a wilderness area where there would be nobody.
So they must have some amazing memories, and I bet you now they're grown, they're into this lifestyle.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, they do enjoy camping, and I can't take credit for, well, because I did this or that, but they loved it. Yeah, we all have great memories from that. And one of the neater things was I took my daughter on a trip into a valley near Death Valley when I had first taken her there when she was 5 months, and I took her there for her 25th birthday in the same van. That was really kind of fun. So, but not only did it give me many, you know, special times with my kids, but the community around these vehicles is really something, and it's a worldwide community. I could travel the world in this van just visiting the people I met over the years who are enthusiasts of the Volkswagen T3 Syncro. So
now I know from emailing, you have a website for these?
Yeah, I did start a website, syncro.org, but it's my website, and I met a lot of people through that. Yeah.
And is there any tips that you could give the viewers that might want to get something like this if they were like shopping for a used one? Anything to look out for? Anything that stands out to you as a red flag?
Well, I mean, that's a tough subject because they are 30 years old. So they're gonna either require a lot of work or they're going to be very expensive having already been rebuilt. So it's not uncommon to see these going for $60,000 or $70,000 if they've been completely rebuilt and everything. Actually, I've seen some go for more than 100 that had people went over the top with them. But as far as advice, well, just know what you're getting into. If you know what you're getting into, you'll be fine. And it's like anything else. If you know, you're starting with a clean slate when you rebuild it, they are reliable then, you know. I have never broken down on the road in all the time I've had it. I had CV joint bolts come out once, and I had an idle switch go right when I was about to leave, but that's it in 27 years of ownership. Other people have a lot of problems, but they start out with a van that hasn't been taken care of, and they don't bring it up to, you know, code or whatever.
Steve, thank you very much for taking the time today to give us a tour of your beautiful Syncro Westfalia. How are our viewers going to be able to follow you in your awesome journeys? Oh,
well, yeah, I am about to embark on some journeys that COVID have delayed, but I do have some, there is a syncro.org Facebook page, and there is a syncro.org website and a syncro.org YouTube channel. They will all be getting upgraded here shortly, and I don't have a lot on the YouTube now. It's mostly old stuff from Cinco de Mayo, that event I put on for 15 years. But we'll be getting some good stuff coming up soon. I'm going to be heading out to British Columbia and down to Baja, and so if you're interested at all, yeah, check us out on YouTube, syncro.org.
Well, I'm sure I'm interested because I want to check out the Cinco de Mayo some of these vintage rallies that you went on? Is that what that is?
Cinco de Mayo was an event I held at Hollister Hills in California for almost 15 years. Actually, the event is still going on, but I hosted it for 13 or 14 years, and people would come from all over the country and bring their Syncros, and there's thousands of acres of off-road. Yeah, there's some videos on the Syncro.org YouTube channel now that will show you what these vans are capable of, because we would have a competition with a track, and there's some videos of those events, and if you're at all interested in what these are capable of off-road.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
This
is Patrick with New Jersey's Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video, comment, share, and subscribe. I love it. We'll see you soon.